Tonight on Tabletop Commander, Mizzix of the Is Magnus. Hello everyone, tonight I have a great new video. This is actually one of my original EDH decks that I played. This deck is Mizzix of the Is Magnus. It is blue and red. It is an instant and sorcery based deck. This deck is a Commander 2015 deck. It comes with Mizzix as the main commander. This deck is really good if you're on a budget or if you're kind of new to the format, in that it's really simple and straightforward and yet very powerful. This entire deck probably cost me in the neighborhood of $100, $110, all said and done. That's buying the deck and even buying the sleeves. I mean, this is a really great budget deck. So, without further ado, let's get right into the deck. Mizzix herself relies on instants and sorceries to give you experience counters, and having experience counters reduces the cost of your instants and sorceries. This deck you want to pack with as many great instants and sorceries as you can, and anything that does something when you do an instant or a sorcery, like you're about to see. In this deck I run about 33 lands, which is quite a bit less than what you would normally run in a deck, but as you'll see, I can get through this deck very, very quickly. It's not unusual for me to win a game and only have 10 or 20 cards left in my library. So I do go through every card in the deck. So, starting off, we have Sphinxes Tutelage. There's a lot of draw in this deck, and Sphinxes Tutelage lets you mill an opponent for each card that you've drawn. So, the idea is to draw as much as you can and mill out your opponent, and I have done this before. It's not as difficult as it sounds. Ristic Study, a great tax card, lets you draw if an opponent plays a spell and they don't pay an extra 1. And they usually forget or just don't care. And they're like, here, go ahead, draw 1, I don't care. Metallurgic Summonings. There's not a lot of creatures in this deck, but this enchantment makes creatures each time you cast an instant or sorcery card. It'll also let you exile the Metallurgic Summonings card and return all instants and sorceries from your graveyard to your hand, only if you control 6 or more artifacts. Which, in this deck, probably isn't going to happen, that last part. But the first part is certainly going to get a lot of artifact creatures out, making the second part possible, although not likely. Jace's Sanctum reduces the cost of instants and sorceries by 1, also lets you scry whenever you cast an instant or sorcery. I play a whole 2 artifacts in this deck. Soul Ring and Thought Vessel. They both come with the deck. Good mana rocks. Moving into creatures, I play Dragon Mage. This is one of those things that'll let you draw a lot of cards each turn and gets that Sphinxes Tutelage card going really well. Gunner Snipe deals 2 damage to each opponent whenever you cast an instant or sorcery. Psychosis Crawler, another great card. Whenever you draw, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Tons of draw in this deck. Jace's Archivist. It's a pseudo windfall effect on a creature, and it is an amazing, amazing card. Willbender. I love this guy. This guy does not see enough play. It's a morph card. You play it face down for 3, and then when somebody does something nasty to you or one of your creatures, you bounce it back on them. Nice redirecting of spells. Illusory Ambusher. This is another creature that I play in the deck. Basically, they attack you with their Lord of Extinction or something else obnoxiously huge. You drop this down as a chump blocker, and you draw a ton of cards. Goblin Dark Dwellers, good for getting an instant or sorcery back, a low-cost instant or sorcery. Excellent good card for chump blocking as well. Charmbreaker Devils, good for getting instants and sorceries out of the graveyard, as well as whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, it gets +4/+0 until the end of turn. So declare this guy as an attacker, and then watch them not block, and then drop a ton of stuff right on them. Origin the Shifting Flame. This is a card that is, again, good for drawing a lot of cards. Therium Horse Sorcerer. Cascader, again, good for getting spells off and that sort of thing. Melic Izzet Paragon, again, it lets you cast the top card of your library if it's instant or sorcery, and it also lets you copy instants and sorceries, so very excellent include, and it comes with the deck. Goblin Electromancer reduces the cost of instants and sorceries. Barrel Chief of Compliance, new card from Aether Revolt, lets you reduce the cast of instants and sorceries again. Also lets you loot every time you counter a spell. There are probably 4 or 5 good counter spells in this deck. Gigantoplasm, just a fat blocker basically. Could win games, I guess, but it's mainly there to keep your opponents off your back while you do your instant and sorcery thing. Steam Augury, it's similar to Factor Fiction, and Factor Fiction itself, of course. Epiphany at the Drown Yard, another similar effect, but an X spell. Stroke of Genius, instant speed, target player draws X cards. Opportunity, target player draws 4 cards, more card draw on here. Brainstorm, wouldn't be a blue deck without Brainstorm. Blue Sun Zenith, another target player draws X cards at instant speed. Mirror Match, for when they throw all their creatures at you and you just wanna kill them all. So that's good removal. Mystical Tutor, for getting that one instant or sorcery that you need. Repulse, bounce a creature, draw a card. Evacuation, good for bouncing off creatures. Capsize, again, bouncing creatures back to their owner's hands. Same with Etherize. Ether Spouts, returns attacking creatures to the top or bottom of their owner's library. Even better. Counterflux, this is good for stopping those infinite combos and storm-based decks. And it's one of those counterspells I talked about earlier. Mindbreak Trap, again, technically not a counterspell, but this will also stop infinite combos. Mystic Confluence, a good flexible spell that you draw, or bounce, or counter. Shattering Pulse, good artifact removal with buyback. Comet Storm, good removal. Prophetic Bolt, good removal, as well as getting a card. Magma Quake, good for getting rid of creatures and planeswalkers. Reigns of Power, good for grabbing people's creatures, and it's a great win condition. Desertion, grabbing other people's creatures and artifacts in counterspell form. Dominate, again for grabbing creatures. Mystic Retrieval, getting instants and sorceries back from a graveyard. Mizzix Mastery, when you've cast a whole flood of spells and they're sitting in your graveyard, use this to do it all again. Whelming Wave, good for bouncing creatures back. Again, Displacement Wave, same thing. Epic Experiment. This is a card you're going to want to cast for like 10 or 12 or something along those lines. Great for casting a lot of spells all at once. Fan of the Flames, good buyback burn spell. Vandal Blast, more artifact removal. Blatant Thievery, for grabbing other people's creatures. Bribery, again, grabbing other people's creatures. Right of Replication, for cloning said creatures. Expropriate, for grabbing other people's creatures, as well as getting some extra turns. You'd be amazed how many times I've cast this, and everyone votes for me to have an extra turn. I end up with 3 extra turns or 4 extra turns. Wonderful spell. Mob Rule, grabbing creatures. Insurrection, grabbing creatures. Both of those are good win conditions. We have some wheel effects. Reforge of Soul. Wheel of Fortune, probably the most expensive card on the deck, sitting around $18 to $20. Windfall, more draw. Preordained, some more draw. Some more targeted draw spells. Prosperity for even more draw. Covenant of Minds, you guessed it, more draw. And Faithful Looting, yet more draw. Now there's a couple of great counterspells that came out recently that I have not included in this deck that are great includes, such as Disallow, and I believe there's one in, I want to say Eldritch Moon that was a good combo stopper type of counterspell. You'll also note that I didn't put staples in this deck, like Sensei's Divining Top. They're really not necessary. If you want to go ahead and include one, go ahead. But the deck as I have it standing now is actually really cheap, and I chose to keep the deck that way. And a lot of times it's a come-from-behind winner. They're people get you down and out, and they think you're done, and then suddenly you come back on them, steal all their creatures, hit them all up, and you end up winning the game in the end. So that's my deck for tonight. Go ahead and give me a like and a subscribe if you like what you see. Check out my other videos. I have a lot of great EDH videos, as well as a couple of unboxings. I also have a channel with me and my wife, just doing kind of nerd stuff, just random stuff. I'll go ahead and put a link in the description below if you want to check that out. I'd really appreciate it. Give us a like and a subscribe over there. That would be wonderful. It's not a magic-based channel. It's just we talk about random things, random nerdy-based things, nerdy-type movies coming out. There's a great video of us eating Bertie Bott's every flavored jelly bean from Harry Potter. That is probably one of our better videos, if you ask me. So I'm going to actually link that video in the description below. So come on over and check us out. Have a great day.